Broadcast is up. East Hampton School Board, you are live and being recorded.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to call the meeting to order?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, please rise for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag, States of America, Republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Mr. Fine for our budget workshop session.
Yes,
Where do you want to start?
we will start with the high school. A lot of people came to represent.
They did, yes. Thank you so much for our coordinators who came, for moral support. Okay, so I think you have our budget, a copy of it in front of you. I'll just go over a few general things that I'd like to point out.
Yeah,
So,
you can just highlight it, and then we'll see if the board has any questions. I don't want to pain you with more
perfect,
than you need.
okay,
But
you got it.
anything you want to highlight, go for it.
Perfect. So I'll just go quickly. So we are, at first glance down significantly around, 76,000, but at first glance, that sounds alarming, but please keep in mind, a lot of that is because our tech was moved to Chuck and our conferences were moved to Mr. Fromm. So that is a significant part of that is just moving.
Yes.
Is just moving, so you don't see it there. So when we did have to modify within our department or within our building, we did so in a way that we didn't touch programs. We made decisions that would not have any impact on student learning or a teacher's instruction. So for example, looking at if I had to cut at the building level, looking at administrative conferences for administrators and or materials and supplies in the front office, things we could certainly live without and carry on business as normal. When we did have to amend anything at the department level, I worked directly with the coordinators so that they would have insight in terms of where we could trim, but not hurt student learning. One significant increase that I would just like to point out is on your front page there for supervision. That is up around $24,000, and that is mostly due to the increase of cost for graduation, the tent, the sound. That would help you understand that change. Additionally, the decrease under teaching and regular school ed, a significant amount from that we used to do for iTutor was removed because we're able to handle all of our tutoring needs with our own staff. So that's accounts for a big difference there. Even though overall, you can see that we are mostly down in ways that we can handle. I do want to explain a few minor increases. You'll see at the bottom of page 1 in music equipment, that is up slightly because Mr. Mandato wanted to put more money into equipment so that with the purpose of increasing our large instruments, they need to be replaced. And so that's why his overall budget is the same, if not down a hair, but you would see an increase there. You'll also notice that on page 4, there is a slight increase in what we budgeted for consumer science. And I think it's nobody's, unaware that the cost of food has gone way up. So it's simply a matter of trying to prepare for additional costs as those continue to go up. The last thing that could be a potential change that you would see is that we did along the same lines of as we build our family and consumer science programs and our culinary programs, we would like to bring back our hospitality club. And so you will see a bit of an increase under extracurricular. That's up slightly because, again, we'd love to see that hospitality club thriving again. And so we've budgeted a bit for that, in that area. And those are the, like the major moves or the major things that you would see that I just wanted to point out. If you have any questions,
Anybody from the board have a question for this high school budget?
Just when we're talking about the automotive for next year.
so
Where is that?
great question. So that,
Or are we not
I
there
had
yet?
it in my budget and Mr. Fromm had it in his budget. So, we moved everything over to Mr. Fromm, because a new program, new curriculum.
Okay.
So it is accounted for, it's just, under his budget.
Okay.
Anybody else? Yeah, I think it's supposed to.
We're hoping.
Must be in the fall?
Yeah.
Looking, plan to go. One thing I know Sarah's done, I'm not gonna, you don't have to say. I will tell you and this is near and dear to my heart, and at some point, we've talked about it, the graduation tent, which is literally the best event we have here. That expense has gone up probably 300% in the past 5 years. So when literally 10 years ago, it was $19,000. At the end of this contract and bid, I think, what are we looking at now?
I have it in my
It might
office.
be 50 something.
It's 50 something, because it's up by, it was up by almost 30.
And make no mistake, I am not proposing getting rid of that event, but it is something that, we're being
I'm
gouged
sorry,
to the
up by
Bid it out.
20, up by 20.
20,000. It's up by
Did you bid
$20,000.
it out?
Well,
Is it?
We're leaving it in, and I think
No, but did you bid it?
Yes.
Like,
it's been bid, yeah, and this is,
And they
that's
were
what,
the, if I
It's a
remember
super
correctly.
tent.
yes, this
Oh, yeah,
company,
it
this company is, so there are two companies, that viable
Scary.
companies that can handle this. This company was originally the second company that came in to do it.
Mhm.
They've done it for years. The cost has just continually risen. They do a great job. There is no doubt. We cannot
Yeah.
handle this. We cannot
Seamless.
handle this. And
Absolutely.
but it is something that we're keeping, I think the board and the community should know, we're keeping our eye on that expense. And, it is a lot. For,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, graduation just happens to be in like the middle of wedding season. So
Yes.
it's not like they're even gonna work with you on a price
No.
or anything, because it's.
There's
Right.
nothing we can do.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there's certain many months you're gonna use a tent anyway, so.
Yeah.
Right.
you know, You can do it in the winter, no big deal.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Soriano?
Okay, so I have very little to say about the middle school budget. I think I can do this in 30 seconds. We are down by just 2%. And for us, the significant shift is the changes that Sam made, which are very welcome. I mean, I'm looking at this, our document last year was 62 pages.
Yeah.
And we're down to 5 simplified, direct pages, which is helpful from, the perspective of running a building.
Sam's a simplifier.
And I love that because it's broken down into these 4 categories. And as I said, we are down by just 2% and enough to run our program responsibly. You'll see on some of the pages, I don't even think it's worth pointing out, but you'll see there are some wild increases that look, we had 1,000%, that's a coding change. So any of those that seem like they're outliers, they are, because they're just a product of shifting money from code to code. Basically, we're in the same places we were when it was a 60-page document. So I have no changes and no major asks, except for the lockers, that's another discussion in another budget, but I don't want to forget that.
I've never heard that, really?
Yeah. Just so you don't forget.
Anybody have a question for Dr. Soriano? Yeah.
No, it's all
Thank you.
standard.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not much left
Thank
in
you.
these
Yeah.
budgets. We're not doing staffing stuff. This is very little. Karen?
Take a look at the cover page of John Marshall's budget, similar to the middle school budget. I don't have a lot to report. I am presenting a decrease of 8.46%. Similar to the high school, a bulk of that was some subscription funds that for our technology that has been transferred over to the tech budget, to Chuck Westerberg's budget to order. We had some money under extracurricular a couple years back. Under music, we had ordered and budgeted for a lot of protective equipment for the instruments and the masks, and that all came out of the budget, which is why a large number of that is reflected out of extracurricular activities. So all of the changes that we've made really just reflect what's actually happening in the building, and there's no change in student programming from the last 2 years to next year.
So Karen, one question about the musicals. I think it's on page 2.
Sarah, that is also part of the decrease in extracurricular
Yeah.
activity. It has been very difficult to fill 2 performances. So we have been able to condense that. The last 2 years, we've condensed it to 1 4th and 5th grade play. And so we just changed the budget for next year to reflect that as being our primary plan.
We were trying to do a 4th and a 5th, and it just wasn't
Yes,
working
and I
out.
think from my understanding, that had only happened for 1 or
Right.
2 years prior to me
Yeah,
coming
it
on
used to
board
be
as
4th
a
and
marshal.
5th, and they
It had
tried-
always been 1 performance.
Yeah.
It's just been very difficult to find the personnel.
Were
to
there 2
staff it.
performances this year?
There will be 1,
There
and
will be one,
it's
so we're
starting on
budgeting
Monday.
just one.
And 1 for next year. Yep. Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bing, bam, boom.
Facilities? So just so you know, Greg's coming up, obviously, to talk about the facilities. Remember, I want the board to remember that with the repair reserve, a greater part of Greg's, the next few months, and then hopefully when the capital reserve gets approved by the community, that's what Greg's kind of focused with. So you're gonna see his budget, look at a number of things, and you're gonna see some decreases. But we're kind of with the repair reserve combined with capital reserve, doing bigger things, and you're gonna have to.
Exactly, yeah.
That would have otherwise been in the
Yeah,
budget.
there's some things in there, yeah.
Okay.
So even on the, the first page, you can see there's a decrease in, 23.28% overall. So just to go through a few of the highlights of that, on page 1, you'll see with our equipment, there's a big reduction in that, and that's just because we're trying to improve our maintenance program, with our existing equipment. Also some repurposing, for example, just prior to the snow season, and with the help of Joe's Mechanics, the grounds department used repurposed an old mower. We put a plow blade on it, and we use that for some of the clearing. Okay, so we'll go on to operational plant contractual. A lot of the reduction in this area is due to the recoding, Sam helped with that. And it's just more of a realistic representation of our needs. Moving down, not much difference in water utility, electricity. I'd like to touch on. We carried a number of 500,000 previously, and it's just really not a good representation of what we're spending. The solar panels are working, all that's great. It's just, this is a more real number, and obviously the rates have gone up, so.
I guess that would be just my question, like the snow removal, obviously we aren't gonna use all of that this year. Is some of that gonna help offset?
March.
Right, yeah, that's true. I should say.
Thanks.
But at the same time, we also have like an increase in all the fuel costs and the electric costs and everything else. So hopefully,
It goes to help this year's expenses and whatever's left over. Roll into fund balance.
Right.
Here, but it doesn't touch next year's budget.
Right.
It's separate.
right, we always leave it in there because you never know what year
So,
you're gonna
And at the
have,
moment,
but,
at the moment, we got lucky with the
right,
state of snow. removal. Obviously, there's snow
right.
time left. But stuff that's
Right.
left, money that's left over because of not so much snow will help us with fund balance.
But I mean,
Especially
Sam,
all the
and
other
commented on
costs being
snow
high.
removal, which I mean, they did a great job on the last storm. If you look at the last few years, we were over budget, I think, every single year
Yeah.
on with that amount. I mean, I forgot we looked at it.
It's a projection you can't miss on. Because you
so
have to-
a snow removal contract is a set price
No,
or
it's based on,
per event?
it's not just per event, how much snow is in that event,
Right.
generates the cost.
Okay.
But we always have to estimate high because we
have
don't
to
know.
estimate,
Right, right.
We can certainly look at other models, but at the moment, that's what we have.
And then, how are we doing on, it's been a warm winter, so fuel oil, we should have a reserve this year. Sam mentions it's gonna roll over. Are
We
we,
should, yeah, I was gonna touch on that too. So, this is the first year we have the dual fuel here. So we've used natural gas here at the high school, so
right,
that should increase a little bit, but it should decrease the fuel oil.
but I would think we're gonna be, we're gonna have money left over for fuel.
Money will
Is
be,
it stage one?
yeah, in a number of areas, money will be left over. Greg has been very judicious in how he spends his budget and be careful what we spend. So whatever is left
Yeah,
over at
price
the
is
end,
up.
is available for
Right.
fund balance,
Right.
for repair reserve, at the board's discretion, to be funded.
But it doesn't help next year.
So,
Right.
I don't know,
Yeah, it's
but
such
you,
a.
you're
But
not
I'm
gonna
just
budget
curious
the
how
same
much
for next year.
The costs are up
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
we cost- you know, even if we
Because
budget
you-
less,
you-
it's more expensive right now, so.
Let's come down.
Yeah, it's true, it's coming down a little bit.
Terrific.
Yeah.
All good news. I like all the
Thanks, Greg.
negative.
Okay, let's see what else. Operation of plant materials and supplies, that's down 55%, but that's, again, that's recoding. Other things too, we price out shop paper prices, for example, check the different contracts where we get the best price for. BOCES, health and safety services, we adjusted our needs for those services. I conducted a training during the break for all the custodial staff for health and safety. BOCES came in and did that. Maintenance of plant equipment, this went up, this is just, basically, since COVID, everything, parts are more expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah. And maintenance of plant, contractual, this, again, as Adam mentioned, the repair reserve is huge here, and it helps us take care of the big ticket items.
Yeah, this makes it much simpler than it has been in years past. We always were like one boiler away from
Right.
being in trouble.
Exactly.
Anybody on the board have a question? Okay.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Last but not least, Mr. Lapani. Hey, guys.
You're saving money.
Good evening, everybody.
Look at the death stare. Sorry.
It's nice to see everybody, and I guess this is gonna probably be the last time I address everybody.
I know.
So this is pretty special. It's been a good 10 years, and I think we got a big accomplished. 10 years. As far as the budget goes, I can't name one thing that hasn't gone up 30 to 50%. I kind of left the budget alone. We did increase on equipment purchases. I don't think they're gonna all be buses, though. I think there's a big need in buying like 4 14-passenger vans. This way we can move sports and music trips and all these things that take a bus driver a full day for 1 or 2 people or 3 kids or whatever out of the loop, because it's first of all, you send them up there, they sit there all day, you're paying them time and a half. It doesn't make sense to me to do this anymore. The price of a 14-passenger van, I think, is under $50,000. I did give some specifications to Adam about how to spec it out, so it's a safe van, not one of these, big high tops that are gonna be top heavy and is be kind of a little iffy on the road for somebody, a novice, to drive. So I think that's the direction you need to go with this. I think drivers are gonna be harder and harder and harder to come by as we go along.
so is this, you don't need the license to drive these vans, you don't need,
14-passenger, you can have a regular license, and it's just
Make it
controlled by
easier, right?
DOT as far as the inspections go. It
okay,
has to be lettered East Hampton. It's like like when a church uses a van.
Right,
Mhm.
right,
It's the same, similar.
9 passengers, 14 passengers.
Yeah, you just can't bring them to and from school. You can go to events.
Okay.
Right.
So we
Field
would
trip.
train staff and coaches to drive them?
Coaches, paras, whoever has a valid license can go. Say we don't have a bus for a lacrosse team tomorrow. A
Yeah.
coach and a para could take 2 vans and bring X amount of kids up.
Right.
I'm not trying to take work away from the drivers, but.
We just don't have enough
If
of
you
them.
don't have a
I- I-
driver.
yeah, well, I'm
We don't
just
have,
saying
we don't
that-
have the drivers for
Yeah.
that. I mean,
Right.
the
Yeah.
short trips have been the issue. So we're looking at a variety of options. Joe
Good
gave me the vans. We talked today, Sam and I talked about even the purchase of, the longer Suburbans to bring kids to conferences because we had an issue. Joe couldn't find drivers for a conference. We had to get kids to a small amount of kids. And again, if you took those kids and threw them on a bus, if Joe had a driver, you're taking a driver in a small bus for 2 kids out of circulation all day
Yeah.
for just driving up the on the back. So we're looking at a variety of these options, thinking differently out of the box rather than just, okay, bus
Right.
driver trip.
Any
I did-
calls on your sign, just out of curiosity, because it's.
There is a few people walking in or out, but, basically if you have a CDL and you're not working right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's looking for people to work right now.
Yeah.
As everybody probably knows here. As far as the Suburban goes, I looked into that, the price is almost the same
Yeah.
as the van, so you're better off having the van in the
Yeah.
inventory.
Yeah.
I went that route.
And how many bands did you say?
Excuse me?
How many are we gonna get?
I would say you probably want a minimum of 3. I mean, they're always,
It's a great idea.
when people go to conferences, sometimes they take 2 cars or whatever. Go to the airport, we're taking a large school bus to drop people off at the airport. It just,
Yeah, not
the
necessary.
dollars don't make sense there.
Good. Sam, do you foresee any like liability issues or any SED issues or anything like that? Sam or
As Joe
Adam?
was saying, as long as we have the vehicle DOT inspected, rather than DMV inspected as the contrast, then it's legal for, students to ride in. I think we need to, determine how somebody feels comfortable driving a van, 14-passenger van, which is longer than a normal car. But I think that's something we can evaluate on a case-by-case basis, and having a variety of vehicles available would certainly be helpful.
And if you put the camera systems in with the surround view, it helps. Because the biggest thing is, people get a little nervous about backing up. Now, if you have the surround view on your screen, such as a backup camera that's in your car, but a better view, it'll take some of that away.
Yeah, no, that makes,
That's
that's good.
valuable.
I like it.
Yeah.
Good.
Great.
And fuel is fuel,
Is what it is.
Yes, we're doing a lot less trips, price is double, so,
Right.
is the price gonna be cheaper next year? Well, depends what Mr. Peter does.
True. Yes.
I don't have any answers for any cost-related parts because we're trying to search out different vendors for better prices. And that's about all.
Yeah, it sort of is, that stuff is what it is. You have to
Yeah.
buy it and that's it.
Shop equipment, the shop is pretty well done, stocked,
Because now you've been in there,
excuse me?
you've been in there a while now.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you're
we're still
seeing things that you still
hooking
need or.
things up and mounting stuff because we didn't want to rush into putting stuff, it's like, it's like decorating a living room.
Yeah.
You don't know if you want the couch there or there. I mean, you have to work with it a little bit, so.
Agree.
Then the teaching side is, pretty well looking good. We were in there today actually working with the alignment machine to, on one of our vans to see a little training on it. So somebody has a fair idea to tell somebody how to work it because they're a little complicated, so.
Absolutely, that's cool.
All right, any other questions? Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Is that it?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. All right, so budget is over and we're on to news of the schools.
Yes, let's go with Sarah in the high school.
All right.
So March used to be quiet, I feel like, and now everything's happening. So we have a lot going on. So you'll hear more about this in a few weeks, but we had 3 students selected for LISEF. That was Sky Tansman, Cooper Siva, and Egan Barzilay, Long Island Science and Engineering Fair.
Thank you.
And they were 3 of 99 students chosen on the whole island. So it's a very big deal. I'm not going to say too much because they'll be telling you about it in a couple weeks. We also had big news of the weekend, an outstanding production of The Addams Family.
It was so
Yeah.
terrific.
It was off,
So
off
good.
the charts, just incredible. So such talent on our stage among our students, and a huge bravo to Katie Schreck for directing the production. So it was really, really wonderful. So that was great. We have parent-teacher conferences this week, Wednesday and Thursday. We also have junior mock interviews this Friday. 20 businesses or so will be coming in. Students during their English class will come down. In some cases, that will lead to an actual job. In other cases, it's really just the experience of a job interview. So that's this Friday. Our student association that got snowed out in November is rescheduled for this Sunday. So we're leaving Sunday. It will be there Monday and Tuesday.
Is that Buffalo?
Niagara Falls. So yeah, same difference, right?
Yes,
Yeah, so our students will be able to mingle and work with student leaders from all over the state. The good news of it being changed is that we are now able to take juniors as well. So then we'll parlay everything they learned to next year. We have a community forum coming up. Sergeant Kenny Alverso will be presenting to parents on just social media awareness. All of the different apps that are out there that our students are using and that they are on. And then he'll also be presenting some tools to help monitor and open up those conversations with your children about social media. It's March 15th is the Spanish version. March 16th is English at 6 o'clock right in here in the library. And the target audience are parents and guardians of all ages. So he'll present what's relevant to little guys all the way up to the high school. And then last but not least, we have our, again, so much talent. Our student art exhibition at the Parish Art Museum begins on March 11th and goes to April 16th. And I will say, East Hampton always is the best. Needless to say. And that's it.
Great.
Thank you, Sarah.
Kathy, piggyback on the high school, because I think we
Piggyback
have
on the high
some students we want to honor.
Yes, we do.
And
Rock Amata, can you come on up? Luke Tarbett, Coach Cunningham, and Mike Bartuba. Coach Brierly texted me, he cannot make it, he got caught up, but sends his regards. We had an incident back a month and a half ago where a student athlete passed out in the pool. And passing out in the pool is a little different than passing out right here. These young men and our coaches basically saved the life, and it was incredible. All their training and everything that they've done, they taught as coaches and as lifeguards was amazing. Rock is a junior here at East Hampton High School. He jumped in and pulled Alonzo out of the pool. He is also an East Hampton Town lifeguard. Luke is a senior. He called 911, stayed on the phone with EMS till EMS arrived on site. Craig and Brian, our coaches, both administered first aid until EMS arrived. They are also East Hampton Town lifeguards. Jay is a YMCA lifeguard. He administered first aid with our coaches until the East Hampton, and he is also an East Hampton Town lifeguard. Everything went exactly how you wanted to go, and a tragedy was avoided because these young men knew what to do. And it is a testament to not only their training as coaches, but their training and what they've taken from the East Hampton Town Lifeguard Association, which they kept cool, calm, and collected. When Coach Brierly called me to tell me what was going on, he said, we're about to get in the ambulance. I said, I will meet you at the hospital. I was here at the basketball game. They went from there to the hospital. We waited for the young man's father to come. As soon as we knew that he was safe and he was sound, we came back here to East Hampton. It went, you never want these things to happen, but when they happen, you want to make sure that you have people in place who knew what they were doing, and they were absolutely amazing. Before we clap, we had another incident that next weekend, and I'd like to introduce Coach Ethan Mitchell. We went to the league championships for wrestling. Coach Mitchell is also a teacher here in the high school. He is also an East Hampton Town lifeguard. He was a Southampton Town lifeguard, and he is one of our coaches. When we got to the site at Belport, a young man ran into the gymnasium and screamed, "Does anyone know CPR?" A young lady from the high school at Belport was in the backseat of her mother's car where she was rendered unconscious and in cardiac arrest. Coach Mitchell, along with the athletic director from Belport, ran out of the gym and performed CPR. I spoke to the AD from Belport. She had started opening her eyes. This was a chronic illness that she had going on, but these men saved their lives. What these guys have done is absolutely amazing and has to be commended.
Riley,
Come on in.
come on in.
Oh, sorry.
If you show, if I see you, forget it.
Oh, you're
So
crazy.
dramatic.
He made it.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's
Gotta get
okay.
this story.
Saving another
I
life.
have to start a line.
I know you got nothing to get it.
Yes, thank you.
All right, I am
Thank
really
you.
proud of each and every one of you.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Show up for a hug anytime.
Nice job, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll finish my news of the school. It's quickly because we're in between seasons. Spring sports start Monday. Our numbers are looking really good. And I can first publicly say here that each and every one of our winter sports teams are New York State Scholar Athlete teams this year.
All right.
Wow,
Okay.
that's cool.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next? Charlie next?
So we had Project Hero immediately before the school break. And I just want to thank Tim for finding money in his budget because that for us is a restoration after many years of not having it. And it basically involves theater games that are all about anti-bullying and helping kids, middle schoolers in particular, to develop a voice and to develop agency, which is the hardest thing, even for high school kids and adults. But it starts at these lower grades. It was excellent. All of us, the whole EST team, Dan Hartnett, Laura White, Barbara Tracy, Tony Lazaris, and myself, work very closely with the teaching actors that come out. There are 8 of them, along with Kate Muth. And the kids were receptive. It was 3 half days. It was engaging. It was exciting. The kids were on board. And we're going to do it again in 2 weeks with grade 7. And then the plan is in the future, it will be carried in by the district and we'll only do it in grade 7, which is the middle of the middle. And then all 7th graders will have it before they leave the middle school. So thank you again, Tim, because it really makes a big difference. And it's good for kids to hear other people. So they see their teachers, they see me, they see the EST team, but these are teaching actors who are, cool and different and a little purple hair and it gets them opening up and talking. And again, the goal is to develop agency, and that is the hardest thing. And these kids were just soaking it up. So thank you for that. That was awesome. And then we have, thank you, Sarah, for inviting us to your forum. I sent that out to the parents today. But for us, we, several years ago, we had Rory Forrestal, who was one of the detectives from the Suffolk Computer Crimes Division, come out and talk to our students separated, grade 6, grade 7, and 8, about internet safety. However, he retired, and then with COVID, we haven't had anyone. But Lieutenant Brown and I were talking about updating the presentation a bit. So we have Officer Nichols and Officer Jack, who are going to be speaking to our students, again, separate, because there's a big difference between 6th graders and 8th graders. Beginning tomorrow, 9th period, grade 6, and then the next few days, each of the other grades, they're going to be presenting on internet safety. So this is a complement to what we're doing in our health program and to what Mrs. Rowland is doing in the Family and Consumer Science program with our 2-week units at each grade level on digital hygiene, but this is the law enforcement perspective. So the kids hear it from their parents, one voice, they hear it from me as their principal, they hear it from their teachers and from our program, but now they're gonna hear it from the police. And we've had interesting stories, and my intro will be the year that Homeland Security showed up. Because there was a student corresponding with someone from the UK who was a known sex offender. And that's why they showed up. And I don't think there's any reason to hide that. I think it's important to tell the kids, you don't know who you're talking to. And they may come across as a teenager or an 11-year-old, but they could be a 60-year-old person. And that was the centerpiece of what Detective Forrestal always did every year. He showed the kids a dialogue and then said, now, who do you think this is? And they would all say, oh, a sixth grader. And then he had a picture that would come up. And the kids all, oh. But it's important for them to know, and they need to hear it in a lot of different voices. So you can only imagine. I'll dig out the picture one year and show you.
Charlie, does that happen in the cafeteria? I'm not the cafeteria, in the auditorium?
Auditorium.
Is that something that we as the board would be allowed to cover?
Yeah, you could, but it's nothing that you
Yeah,
don't
I know,
know
it's kind of
or you
interesting.
haven't read about already as an adult.
Sure.
It's for kids to, and they've heard it before. As I said, they've heard it from me.
Yeah.
They've heard it from their teachers and they've heard it from their parents. But when you have uniformed police officers in front of you who are saying, all right, here's our presentation. It helps them to knit together all those messages from all these different people.
Right.
So it wouldn't be anything new for you.
Okay.
But you're certainly welcome to sit
Okay.
in the back.
I might.
All the way in the back.
Right. Very quietly. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you. Karen?
Without taking too much time, I feel compelled to piggyback on what Dr. Soriano was saying, because at John Marshall, we start in 4th grade in the STEM classroom talking about digital hygiene. There is a unit about responsibility on the internet. And then just this week, our village SROs have been in the building, Officer Jack and Officer Nichols, running a internet safety workshop through our health classes. So students are getting this education, again, from the administration, from their parents, but also from our health staff and our village police officers. And really, it's starting in 4th grade. And what's so amazing and telling, and certainly for the students to be shown the dangers and the pitfalls, but to really encourage our parents to come to the forum, because especially in working with students at the elementary level, it's really all about boundaries and controls that parents are placing on their child's technology, right?
Yeah.
And when those aren't there, they're not old enough to discern,
Right.
even with all of the education we're giving them. So I've sent it out, and I'll send it out again for parents to attend the forum.
It's great.
Yeah, so that's the one, that's the one that Sarah mentioned.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Coming back to the play briefly, our 4th and 5th grade play rehearsals will start on Monday. The performance is not until May, and I'll remind you all, hopefully you'll be able to attend. We are doing Dr. Dolittle. This week is also chock full at John Marshall. We have our joint fundraiser with the PTA. It's our Boosters on Dance Fit. And so that's happening on Thursday. It is a disco theme in the gym. Last year we did a fun run. This year we're back in the gym doing a dance fit. Classroom teachers are sending home what period their children will be doing it. They're actually participating in the event during their PE class. So parents are welcome to attend. They should hear from the classroom teacher what period to come in on Thursday the 9th. And on Friday the 10th, we're delighted to welcome Lori Degman for our annual author's visit. She's the author of a number of different children's books, including Cockadoodle Oops and Zany Zoo. And she'll have lunch with our 5th grade leadership council, and we're delighted to have her on Friday. So busy week at John Marshall. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tiffany, I know you're. What to say?
Good evening, everyone.
Hello.
I just wanted to share that this upcoming week, our 2nd semester E&L parent orientation will take place on Monday, right here in the library at 5:30, and that's for all of our current E&L students and their families district-wide to learn more about our programs and resources that I'll be sharing there.
Thank you. Thank you. Right, so, middle schools, now we're public comment. Do you want to do it now? Yeah, all right. So we do have somebody here I know that wants to speak, so I figured now's a good time. I'll turn it to Adam.
Mr. Edwards?
Thank you very much. As you all know, school sports are an integral part of the community, bringing together and fostering a sense of pride and belonging. Our high school athletic fields are unable to host games or practices at night due to the lack of proper lighting. This not only limits the opportunities for student athletes to practice and compete, but also prevents the community from coming together for early evening events. We all know we live in an amazing community, but unfortunately it is dark earlier here than in most communities. This is where LED lights come in. LED lighting technology has changed the way athletic fields are illuminated due to their energy efficiency, durability, and cost effectiveness. In addition to these advantages, LED lights are able to provide bright and uniform lighting, enabling players to see the ball and each other clearly, which is essential for safety. Last fall season, multiple games were played in unsafe conditions because of improper lighting. Players were unable to see the ball or each other on the field. Furthermore, LED lights are directional. This is important, which means they will be directed to where the light is needed, preventing any unnecessary light pollution. It's a major advantage in areas where dark sky laws exist. LED lights are able to comply with these regulations because they emit minimal light pollution. This puts to rest a lot of old arguments from neighbors concerned, and rightfully so, about their night skies. With an LED lighting system, the team using the field can determine how much light they need. All the lights go on for a playoff field hockey game. Half the field gets lit for a band practice. The athletic director will have complete control through an app on her phone. Much more control and customizable than previous lighting systems. Not only will this save you all money, but it'll also allow neighbors and the community to speak directly to the school about any concerns they might have. In conclusion, LED lights are a modern and efficient solution to the lack of proper lighting on our high school field. Not only do they offer numerous benefits, but they also comply with dark sky laws, making it a great choice for our community. We can all agree children should have the same opportunities, that our children should have the same opportunities as other children that have to be athletes, band members, or students. With the addition of these lights, we will enhance our community's opportunities for sports and education, all while protecting the beauty of our night sky. Please take a fresh look at this issue for us and with our new athletic director, who's 100% behind us. I think she has some really good ideas on how we can bring the community together for this. And I think we all can agree it'll be a home run for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have a question. The system that you mentioned, the LED,
Yes.
is there any school on Long Island that has one?
Everyone. Every school has this. The
LED, I think you're talking about LED.
Yeah, so right now, I would say approximately any of the lights that have been put on the schools in the past 8 to 10 years are all LEDs. The older models are being taken up and a lot of school districts are replacing them with the LEDs. But they're all done by a company called Musco. It's called Musco Control they're basically the monopoly on lighting, but they have researched this and done this for ever since Yankee Stadium was built and watching lights go up like that. So they do specify very much on, and a lot of the lights, they come with different, when you put lights on, it's not just boom, you're lighting up the whole place. You can set them to, you could put it on a line that is light just for the track. So if the community during the winter time wanted to have it open so that the community could go up and walk and, get some exercise at night, you can put them on so those lights are just focused on the track. There's no overspill anywhere. You can turn them on so they're just on the field, not on the track, not on the bleachers, So if a team wanted to practice at night, set that way, then you have them, so it's basically called security, where any of the overflow on those poles comes off and it will light up areas to keep the areas safe.
Does West Hampton have that?
Yes, they do.
They have LED.
Theirs were one of the first, theirs are 17 years old. They're not considered LEDs, but when one light goes out now, they're all replacing with LEDs, similar to what we've done in the gymnasiums.
In anticipation of your question, I sent every board member an email right before the meeting started of a picture of a drone photo of the new LED system that went in at Brookhaven Fields.
Okay.
You will clearly see on the picture that this is for the football field. This is all lit up, and 10 yards behind it, it's darkness. It's like shining a flashlight out in the field. There's no more spillover to neighbors' yards or any of that. And like I said, it complies with the dark sky law regulations and all that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to comment, Adam? Or?
I think, I think, philosophically, I'm here in a position where, I'm obviously responsible for the academics, the education. I think one of the big things that's important to me as superintendent is the engagement of our kids and providing opportunities for our kids in the community. I definitely love this idea. I love considering some of the challenges we've had with transportation and whatnot with it. So I think what I would recommend to the board with this discussion, and I've heard this discussion come up multiple times, years ago, but I've also recently heard a lot of it. I think what should be doing before we do anything, I think the board should let this go to facilities, let our architect look at these, find out how much this costs, state ed involvement. I don't even have those answers for you. And before you even have community, discussions and what you want as a board, before we do anything, go in that route.
Right.
That's
John,
my recommendation.
But Adam, John, you made a good point. Last year was a disaster,
Yeah,
lighting wise. It was awful.
Disaster. Kathy could tell you about sports that didn't get played because of darkness and travel. When she gets a call from, Harbor Fields, that they're gonna come out here at 5, they're not playing a
No,
JV
but we
field.
lit the field last year with a very bad system.
Yes, that's not the system that is.
It was portable, it wasn't enough.
That's way different, yeah.
We all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was homecoming, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same one we've always used.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
we know what it is.
Yeah, but it was the
You know what it
worst ever last year.
This one was
Yeah.
the worst ever, that those lightings with that, I don't want to bring those lights back. I've said that to Adam. That was unsafe. I did not feel comfortable with kids playing in that, with poles going out and the cost associated with them.
Ridiculous.
It's just throwing money away, my opinion. It's not, I think if we had beaten Rocky Point, that Rocky Point would have had a good argument to protest that game due to the lack of lighting.
Right.
Also, if there are any budgets concerned, I spoke to Kathy about this. I feel confident that the public support is so far behind this that we will raise the money that is needed to get these lights. I don't want to have any conversation with the budget people. I think I can, group of parents will get together and we will raise it's not that much money that's required. And I think the kids' safety and is how it will promote the whole athletic department here.
Do yourself a favor, go back and review LTV from, I don't know, what year was it? The one with the last time, we had someone was gonna donate lights.
Right.
And it was
Once again, apples and oranges. We got new lights.
it's not about, I think if you do the homework too, it wasn't about the lights or the money.
Right.
It was about neighbors. It was about people that, and I'm just gonna speak for myself, it's about people that, we always say you live next to a school, you have to expect it, but we have some people that live next to a farm field and then it became a school.
Right.
So there's some stuff there, and I think I'm gonna task Kathy with bridging that gap, and I think she's qualified out of everybody. And we've had some major changes here as a district.
And the lights are.
And the lights are different.
different now.
And lights are different, lights are different, our rules are different, our
kids are
enforcement is different.
Yeah.
Everything's different, so it's a conversation to have, but we'll have that side conversation.
And I think that, being open and honest with the community, this is a community, we have neighbors, and that's very important. And my relationship with those neighbors is very important to me.
And I know you've
Being
done a good job.
transparent is the biggest thing that we can do as a district.
Listen, there's already a good relationship that's there now with both of you. That's taken some time. And I think that is probably the, for me, that's the biggest thing. So I love lights. I think sports, if you can have it, I've had some other ideas for lights, and I think the board has had some other off-record sort of conversations just to each other, that are probably not ready for prime time. They're in my head, and no one wants to hear them at this point. But listen, I think there's some other ideas that are out there that maybe this whole thing comes together, but I'm not opposed to it. I just want to make sure that
And I
we're
think maybe,
really clear.
and I'm not jumping ahead of you, JP, but maybe it's a time to get the neighbors and have conversation. And
Agree.
Sarah and I do have a great, are having
And I
a
know
great
you do.
conversation, and listen, it can be agree to disagree, but I think you have to have the conversation,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
A couple of months ago, when John had approached me, I did have a conversation with one of the neighbors about that this was coming.
Mhm.
She was not shocked about
Yeah,
that.
no,
and-
it's not new, it's
and
not
I
earth-shattering,
will
shocking news.
contact her tomorrow morning to
Good.
say, hey,
Good. And
just want you to know this was brought up to the board last night.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd love to sit down.
And I'm asking you to do that because that will be my next phone call as well.
Yep.
So, and if I don't call, I'll get a call. So, you know,
And,
which is
you know what, and
good.
And
It's fine.
I'd be, what's it called, and I'll let you take the first.
Well, no, I'm gonna let you do it.
I'll take it.
We're not the first community to go through this. I
No,
think
we're
there's
not. No, we're not.
Several case studies that are out there that
Yeah.
I've read that there was no and yes, and then they came together and decided, okay, we have
Yeah.
time limits.
And listen,
We're never doing this, we're never doing that.
an open line of communication and a set of rules laid down will go a long way with our community.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know
That's what we
what,
want.
listen, I think that's, and I appreciate the way you presented it, and I know Kathy's involvement, I know Kathy will be a big bridge to, you know, if we have success, it'll be, you know, it's on you, so. You know.
Yeah, so Will, and the next step for us, and Kathy will take care of that piece right now. For us, on the logistical side, we have at the end of March, a facilities meeting. We will loop our architect into this, talk to him about it, exactly and speccing this out. Obviously, state ed is involved in all of this, which is a whole nuance. I think I explained. That's a whole nuance discussion you don't have to be part of. We will put that on the agenda for the next meeting. So, which is good. That's the end of March. So I just want to reassure everybody involved, you know, obviously you and coming forth with this, Kathy, our neighbors. This is just a discussion, very preliminary. And the logistical stuff is really the first step in the right way to do this, and then to tie in the discussions that have to happen subsequent to this.
And thanks for being a part of it and bringing it to us, because we're always asking for more community input. Sometimes it's what you want to hear, sometimes it's not what you want to hear, whatever it is, but a conversation will fix most things. So, and I think that some trust as well. And I think that there's a long line of stuff that can be solved. So, you know, that's my opinion. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
And you don't have to sit here for the rest of it if you don't want to. So, yeah.
Kind of educational.
All right. All right. So, anybody else have a public comment?
Yeah, come on up. Hi.
How about
How
the
are you?
phone?
What's that?
Let's get Kelly first.
Well, Kelly's up.
Hi,
go
how are
first.
you? I'm Kelly Wren. I do not want to take up a lot of your time. For the last 16 minus COVID years, I've used the auditorium at the high school for our dance. I know dance recital. I'm the owner of Dance Hampton and East Hampton. Probably 90% of my 110 students are East Hampton district students. I would never be here asking for you to change a policy regarding the space on Sundays, but I have a very special dancer who is also an East Hampton High School student who was chosen as the only sophomore for the Hobie Leadership Weekend in June, which is pretty exciting, and we're very happy for her, but it will also mean that she'll miss her first dance recital in 14 years. So that's why I'm here. I'm here to just ask for you to consider allowing us to use the space on Sunday, June 3rd, I believe it is. I'm willing to discuss covering the costs of security, custodial staff. We're usually pretty respectful of your space, I hope, I think. So I'm just asking you to consider it. I personally love not having the recitals on Sunday because it's a long weekend and it's nice to have that day to recover. But for this year, for Lila Ruddy, I'm here to ask that you make an exception in your policy. And I understand that's a big ask, but I had to try. And yeah,
Thank you.
that's it.
Thank you very much. Anybody from the board have a question? Kelly, or anything?
I think we have it on.
Pretty self-explanatory.
New business.
Yeah, but
New
it just,
business
yeah.
to talk about, or do you want to just talk about
let's just
now?
talk about-
Yeah.
If anybody has any, I
I
mean,
prefer to just do it and move on, that way you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
But, what's your opinion, Adam?
My opinion, and as the policy, all over the last 3 years, a lot of these events did not take place due to COVID. We didn't permit things, obviously following protocols. I think knowing the way the policy is, and we've only opened it up to Sundays for athletics, going forward due to mostly transportation issues, practice issues, playoff issues.
Overtime issues.
Yeah, I do think, and Kelly's been very clear with the cost, obviously it's a cost open. I do think going this year due to COVID impact on our students and our community, I do think it's an exception that does need to, my recommendation is it should be something that we make for the remainder of this school year. And not saying, I mean, obviously, she's a great dancer, and I think that's great. I think it's the fact that you guys have been shut down for so many times, and how many people and all of the kids, and one of the things in the policy is the greater majority of the kids have to be our kids.
and I will also say that Mrs. Hellberg is amazing. We communicate probably a lot more than she would like to. And we try to look at different weekends and adjust things, but it ends up being so many different things that are happening in the school, things that are happening for other dancers. And, you know, with Lila, she would literally be the only one. And to not have her perform this year would just be sad for all of us.
This fits our policy with the exception of Sundays, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's the
I'm already,
only thing-
I'm already approved
Yeah.
for.
No,
for
I'm just
Friday and
asking this because I
Saturday.
want to, for clarification for my own mind, and can we get staff to
Well, I
cover
guess,
what we
yeah,
need
that
to
would,
do?
and
That's a question for Adam,
Yeah.
that I don't know, you think you can get it?
Why did we, can I ask why did we not?
It was
The
by-
policy was, I wasn't, how come no Sundays?
I think we're having a hard time getting staff for one, and it was an expense, so I
I
think we
think it
were
was
just.
kind of like, I remember like it was like a day,
So
like a day
it
of
was one of the
rest.
I remember.
budget years.
I was principal then, no
Oh,
discussion,
yeah.
it's
They
like,
pay for it. So that's
No,
what I would
that's-
say is that maybe if we make this exception through the rest of the year, it has to be conditional on, they also pay in part of their facility fees, the overtime, and
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Listen, I don't want to stop anybody, and I
Right.
just also, but we worked so hard on this policy, there was
Mhm.
many arguments and fights over this
I
policy
completely
over
understand.
years.
Yes.
And
Yeah, it was
finally
like
got-
2 years,
Yeah, it was
right?
a 2-year deal, and I came in
I
the
didn't know
second
the
year.
school paid for the staff. I would think that anybody that we let use our
Well, we
building
had
and it was
fees, but we had
Yeah.
fees,
but we
we had
didn't-
fees associated, so it covered the cost, but this is Sunday, and we kind of like, we're like, listen, we may not be able to get someone, because Saturday we could fill, Sunday we couldn't. If you think you can get the staff, and it's a, we're ending, listen, COVID changes everything, our policy really is sort of moot, because we've got a lot of things that are changed in life.
Yeah.
I think some things won't change back, this one we want to change back for now.
And I
we
think
can
that's part
revisit.
of my reason for trying this hard is
Yeah.
because there were so many no's and so many we
Yes.
can't do this and so many this is canceled and now I'm always trying to make everything work for everybody.
As long as we're not bearing an expense.
Yeah.
And you can get the people, I don't have an issue with it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think this is a good
It's wonderful.
good time to make an exception.
Agreed.
And we gotta be careful we don't open a can of worms.
Exactly, and that's why it's, bringing this to be the one and done.
One and
So,
Yeah.
But, we know someone else will come
Hopefully my
out and
dancers
ask-
will continue to be.
Yeah,
able to-
yeah. Well, just on Saturday. Just on
Yeah,
Sunday.
Do I have to abstain if my granddaughter is doing? it?
Yeah, right,
No, I don't
exactly.
think so.
In a few years,
I don't think
this
so.
could be maybe talking about
You're
it again, so.
But I'm fine, we have to make any sort of motion or do anything?
no, it's really my,
Okay.
with your
All
support,
right,
yep.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you.
More important
Have a
things.
good one.
Thank you, Kelly.
All right. Do we have anybody for public comment, LTV?
There's nobody on the lines.
Thank you very much. Anybody else for public comment in the audience? Nobody? All right. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And on to the superintendent's report and recommendations.
Just a point.
Yep.
Kathy, we appoint a bunch of coaches and then there's 2 here that are resigning. Is
Yes, so if what had happened is that a bunch of coaches in the beginning of the year, and I want to talk to Carrie and Adam about that and do it season by season, just in anticipation of the positions were already appointed. Those people have resigned to take other positions.
Okay.
So Anthony Rosa was the middle school girls lacrosse coach. He has to resign from that position to then be appointed as the girls JV lacrosse coach. And Jonathan Augie is coaching currently wrestling. He is going to resign from there, and he will be coaching our new girls flag football team. And Corey Schultz will be coming in
All right.
to finish out the season so that we have 2 coaches in place.
So it's a shuffle.
Yep.
It's a little,
Thank you.
yes.
Good clarification. All right, item number 1. Recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that Karina Alderton is, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, appointed to a social worker position for the probationary term to commence May 8th, 2023, and expires May 7th, 2027, at the annual salary of $79,202. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Replacing Dan Hartnett, and we're getting her in a little early. She is local, getting her in early to do some transition time with Dan Hartnett.
I think that's
So very lucky.
You answered my question before I asked.
I'm always.
He knew what you were gonna ask, John.
And kudos to Tim for making this happen and pursuing her and getting her.
She seems like she's a jackpot. She's a graduate from here and.
It's awesome.
And she's a great character. She wanted to do as much as she can to fill out the district she's working at in the city and also get some overlap time here. So that's why it's a little later, but I think it would be a great.
She's a fluent Spanish speaker.
Yeah, she's a native speaker. It's a great opportunity for our students to see graduates move on to their places, and she's got that character say, I want to do right by her other district and transition with, a great mentor of Dan. So this is
Great to bring someone home, bring them home.
Excited to be here.
I think it's always important to have a
It's
transition.
a good transition for.
Totally,
such a
yeah.
unique program.
Very much so. Very much so. Congratulations. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 2, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the board approve the desk upgrade from senior office assistant to principal office assistant in the office of the assistant superintendent. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District, pursuant to Rule 14 of the Suffolk County Civil Service Commission, and upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, does hereby appoint Sherry Ross the position of principal office assistant for a probationary period of 26 weeks, commencing March 8th, 2023, and is to be paid at the annual salary based on $80,543. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Discussion?
We are upgrading Sherry to reflect the actual work she's actually doing. in
Yeah,
each
she's
site.
a lot.
She's a terrific employee.
Amazing.
We also had to make sure she's on probation for a little while because she.
I know, now
She
we can
tells
fire
us
her.
too often what she thinks, she's almost always right, and has no response.
Did you tell her?
Now I've got 6 months to kind of say, well.
Did
you tell her something?
She's a tremendous asset to the district. And she's,
You'll be on
great.
probation before you know it.
Now I can finally say, oh, yes, you're on probation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 3, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that upon the teacher's request and upon further recommendation by the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby approves a 1-year extension of the probationary period for teacher Samantha James through August 28th, 2014. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the terms of the probationary extension agreement with Ms. James dated February 17th, 2023, and hereby authorize the President of the Board of Education to execute said agreement. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 4, recommend the board approve the following appointments for the 2022-23 school year. And I think this is what some of the things we were just talking about. And I'm not going to read all these sport coach changes and moves, but can I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Discussion? I think we had one.
Yes.
Anybody else from the board have a question or anything? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 5, recommend that the board accept the letters of resignation from the following employees. Shaka Jones for her position as paraprofessional, effective close of business day, March 24th, 2023. And Denise Rowland for her position as family and consumer science teacher, effective close of business day on June 30th, 2020. Can I have a 23? Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 6. I'm not reading this, I'm just gonna tell you now. Recommended the board approve the following resolution. Resolved the board approve the following annual meeting for the budget vote. And you guys can all read the rest of it online or in your packet. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
It's the time and location of our annual budget.
Yes, yes. And you'll hear about it lots from us in the
May
next few
16th.
weeks. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 7, recommend that the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the board appoint the following persons for their services at the annual school budget vote and election to be held on Tuesday, May 16th, 2023. And it starts with Kerry Stevens as the chairperson and continues on. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Second. Discussion?
Election workers.
Yep, same, pretty much standard from the last one. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 8, recommend the board approve the following amended resolution for the 2022-23 school year. Resolve that the board appoint the following individuals to the Board of Registry for a term office commencing immediately and terminating 30 days following the next annual meeting of the budget vote. It's Amanda Hayes, Stephanie Otto, Caitlin Clark, and Marcia Diaz. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second. Any discussion? Further on from the other two, can I have a motion? I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 9, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby approves the memorandum of agreement with the East Hampton Teachers Association dated March 7th, 2023, concerning the retirement of a teaching assistant, and be it further resolved that the President of the Board of Education and the Superintendent of Schools authorized to execute said memorandum of agreement on behalf of the board. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll
Second. Discussion?
Then it's intent.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 10, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Be it hereby resolved that the Board of Education accepts the letter of resignation from Allison Flynn, contingent on the board's approval of a memorandum of agreement between the Board of Education and the East Hampton Teachers Association concerning the retirement of a certain teaching assistant effective close of business day, June 30th, 2023. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 11, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Be it hereby resolved that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District approve the terms of the memorandum of agreement dated March 7th, 2023 between the district and the East Hampton Teachers Association regarding the revised athletic teams coaching levels for the additional positions of girls varsity flag football coach, and shall be added to level 2, girls varsity assistant flag football coach, and should be added to level 3, and a unified bowling and unified basketball, and such shall be added to level 4. And be it further resolved that the superintendent of schools is authorized to execute said memorandum of agreement on behalf of the board.
Make a motion.
Well, I think I gotta keep going.
No, I think that's it.
Is that it? All right.
That's it for that.
Second.
Second, any discussion?
Discussion, I just think this is great.
Yeah, these are just, these were uncovered, not covered by the EHTA collective bargaining. We had to add them. Yes, we got 2 flag, female or girls flag football, in addition to the 2 additional unified teams. So we had to add it, and
But,
they're going.
you know,
This is great.
More things to do.
Yep.
I just want two things, all right? Number one, this is kids in action, and also the running group that started. But the other thing is, who puts all these words together?
Carrie.
Carrie.
You know,
Carrie's fault.
it's
She
a
has-
lot.
She has a way with words.
Well, I mean,
You gotta
you know,
spell it
we
out.
just go through all this, and it's always here, but this agenda is terrific too in itself. Not just the items, but, and I don't remember too many times, Terry, when we had to correct something.
Oh, thank you, John. That's very nice.
John, I have to review this.
And I may
every
be out of
week
date.
because this is the 14th time. I'm just kidding. Carrie is tremendous. It makes everything,
You know,
it's a lot.
maybe it's a given.
We don't speak it.
Yeah. They never happen.
Never.
Yes.
All right, number 12, recommend the
We
board.
gotta vote.
Oh, Did we vote?
Yeah, no, we did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We
Okay.
did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh.
We didn't? I don't know.
I don't know.
We
I
did
was,
now.
I was hooked on the comment and I. He roped you in.
Number 12, recommended that the board approve the following resolution resolved that the board designate for the 2023-24 school year, Tuesday, July 11th, 2023, for the East Hampton Union Free School District Board of Education's reorganizational and regular meeting. Can I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'm just excited that it's coming back again.
Yeah, that's not the first time. We're only gonna meet once in July.
Usually we only do
Yeah.
the one. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
just before it's from July.
Yeah,
You have
exactly.
to,
We
the
have
board,
to
Better wait
the board
for
has
Fourth
to
of
be
July.
Better
the
there.
first 14 days,
For the month.
right, a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's better the 11th.
And honestly, a little later
Because
actually is
everybody
better.
be really
Yeah,
busy.
yeah,
with
I
the
agree.
Preceding meetings,
Yeah.
definitely.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 13, recommended the board approve the 7th grade school trip to Mystic Seaport and Maritime Aquarium, Connecticut on June 8th, 2023, at the cost of $125 per student, which includes the cost of the water taxi transportation, admissions, and all bus transportation fees. The cost to the district is estimated at $600 for the bus transportation to and from Montauk. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Second? Any
They've done this
discussion?
forever.
They have.
Yeah, gotta
Yeah.
go to
It's nice to
Mystic.
see a field trip
The last
again.
3 years.
That's true.
Finally back.
Yes, welcome
They're
back.
gonna be that with the
Good
twirly
to
thing on.
good to see the field trips kind of come
It's a
back
real
with some of
school.
this stuff. These kids think of some other things.
That's great.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 14, recommended the board approve the following contract agreements. And the first one, there's A through C. I'm just gonna ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Second, discussion. Anything you want to add? Adam? It's all pretty much
All pretty much,
self-explanatory. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 15, they're also long, Carrie. I don't know if I'm not feeling like John today, telling you.
This one's Sam's, just so you know.
All right.
Right under the bus.
Number 15.
Or the new van.
I include you with, you're a good reader too.
Well, thank you very much. I've never been told that.
Well,
ever.
that's wonderful.
When you retire, you should be a law firm.
Number
I'm
15,
retiring.
number 15, recommended the board approve the following 2023-24 Eastern Suffolk BOCES joint municipal bidding program. And let you read the rest yourself. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, I need a motion first. I'm
Oh,
getting ahead. It's getting late.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second.
discussion is just for
Sam,
bid
yeah,
purposes.
yes.
You want to add anything, Sam, to this one?
It's a wonderful
Standard.
resource for us.
Yes, good.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Number 16, recommend the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the Board of Education of the East Hampton Union Free School District hereby authorizes a budgetary increase to the following budget line, the 2022-23 budget in the amount not to exceed, it's the A section, $9,777.22 to be offset by the revenue, reserve employee benefit accrued liability reserve pursuant to general municipal law in section 6P. Can I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second? Sam, do you want to add anything to this? This is your,
We have a person who's retiring, we owe the compensated absence costs. We discussed the change in procedure, how we formerly used to do this, where money was appropriated in the budget. We have a very large reserve that we can use for this. So the board's taking money out of the reserve to fulfill a contractual obligation to the retired.
thank you. Anybody from the board have a question or comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So what do we have?
Just old business.
Nothing old, nothing new, nothing, public comment? Anybody have a public comment from the next section? No? LTV, anybody have a phone in a comment?
There's nobody on the lines.
Thank you very much. If you look at the back page there, there's a few of the board committee schedules. March 16th is academic, personnel, and policy. March 29th is athletic committee. March 30th is facilities. Do we not have a facilities this week? Did I?
No, it's the end of the month.
It's the
Okay,
end of the month.
that's better
Yeah.
for me too.
And JP, I just want to point out, I know it kind of just got grouped in one. In 14, we have now agreed with Montauk to service Montauk's buses. So we are
Okay,
there.
good.
So
That's one
our
of the
first step.
contracts.
We are very happy with the agreement. It's working out for both of the school districts. So
Good.
we're very happy of our dealings with Montauk, and they're very pleased that we're going to be able to do this.
And that's what the state wanted when we started to build this, is, you know, some more shared services, so it allows us to help them. They don't have to go, I don't know, where were they going before West? Wherever it was time consuming and it was expensive. So, you know, it's a good thing, I think, for both of us.
And then just a reminder, next board meeting, we will talk about, they have to vote on the capital reserve.
Tonight's the last night for changes.
Yeah, we're all good with the
You're gonna
capital
have the
reserve projects that were
Yes.
proposed.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and again, just a reminder, that is what would we call,
For a savings
account.
there's no impact on the taxes.
Great.
The money is sitting there, waiting for voter permission to use for upgrades.
And this is why we put it there,
Yes, it
just
is.
so everybody's clear, because this is like it's a good budgeting practice, is what it is.
It's a wonderful way to save money, so we don't impact the taxes, and take care of projects that need to be taken care of.
Agree. All right, we good? A motion to close? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Have a good night. Thank you, guys.